I walk among giants. I am a member of an elite group of extraordinary men. Men like Ronald Reagan, Dwight Eisenhower, George W. Bush, and the Samuel L. Jackson. What is it that makes us so special? What is it that separates us from mere mortal men? Contest master, fellow Toastmasters, and dungeon guests. I am a retired cheerleader. It started the summer before my senior year when I decided I was going to be a football player. At my school, seniors did not get cut. So it didn't matter how bad I would be wearing a jersey under those Friday night lights. As it turned out, though, I wasn't half bad. There were 8 of us gunning for the position of middle linebacker. And on the last day of two-a-days, we had to decide who was going to start at the first game. All we had to do was complete 5 drills 5 times better than anybody else. After the 4th drill, there was 2 of us left, myself and Aaron Williams. Aaron Williams stood 6'2", 230 pounds of knock you on your back. He was a 2-time All-American, and he had been a starting middle linebacker from the second he popped out of his mother's womb. I stood 5'10" at 180 pounds. It was quite literally David versus Goliath. 4th drill in, we're tied. 5th drill, line of cones. We have to sidestep the cones, get through the fullback, tackle the tailback. 1st drill, we both complete. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, we're still tied. Coach is beyond irritated. So he calls over Carl Sumner, 5'10", 315 pounds. Hands him the ball. All right, gentlemen, whoever puts him on his back, you get to start. We pick numbers between 1 and 10. Aaron goes first. He sidesteps the cones, he rips through the fullback, and he hits Carl. And he drives him, and he drives him, and he drives him, but he can't put him down. Coach says, all right, Diamond, show me what you got. Yes, sir. I line up on the cones, he blows the whistle, I sidestep the cones, I rip through the fullback, and right before I lay into Carl, I have an epiphany. 2 years earlier, I wrestled. That means I know how to take people down. My great idea, double leg shoot through. I drop to one knee, I wrap him up around his thighs just beneath his butt cheeks, drive my shoulder into his gut, and I stand up with everything I've got. It was glorious. The clouds parted, the sun came out, I even had doves flying in slow motion behind me. And just as the angels began to sing my praises, snap! Everybody heard it. I dropped Carl onto his back, I fell onto mine, coach comes over, Diamond, you did it! I went to the doctor that night. The next day, I went to surgery. My glorious moment gave me a glorious hernia. And just like that, my epic football career began and ended in just under a month. For the next 6 weeks, I couldn't carry anything heavier than 10 pounds. But I was a football player, so that meant the cheerleaders carried my books. So for 6 weeks, with 7 passing periods each day, a cheerleader carried my books and walked me to each one of my classes. Needless to say, we became friends. We got to know each other. On the last day of my 10-pound restriction, one of the cheerleaders said, Jeremy, tomorrow is cheerleading tryouts. You need to be on the squad. Now you have to keep in mind, this was 20 years ago in Heartland, USA, Wichita, Kansas. There was a little bit of a stigma that went along with male cheerleading at that time. While I was flattered, I politely declined. They said, well, Jeremy, if you're on the squad, you get a squad roster, which means you have all of our name, addresses, and phone numbers on it. In full disclosure, later, I sold those for $10 a piece. And I made just enough money to buy some Reebok pumps. I said, well, while I'm intrigued, I'm not quite convinced. They said, well, Jeremy, you're in the band, right? Well, yeah. And you know what happens on band trips at night. in the back of the bus. Yes, cheerleaders have trips at night, and we have a back of the bus. Now, while I was really intrigued at that point, I still wasn't convinced. They said, well, Jeremy, do you know what a chair is? I said, well, of course. I sit in a chair every day. They said, no, a chair is a stunt where you throw us up in the air and we quite literally sit in the palm of your hand. Now, they must have seen the look on my face because they immediately followed that up with, that's right, that means it's your job to hold our behinds every day for the rest of the year. So, I cheered my senior year of high school. And if the chair got me to cheer in high school, it was the Humpty Crunch that got me to cheer 4 years in college. Now, I say all of that to say this. The next time you go to a sporting event, high school, college, and you see some guys in some hideous outfits yelling into a megaphone on the sidelines, before you judge them, remember, they are a part of an elite group of extraordinary men, and it is their job to hold those behinds every day.